What is up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about Black Mirror Season 5. Only 3 episodes, and some people were disappointed at that fact, but I am not entirely upset. Of course, I want more Black Mirror. Now, we did get Bandersnatch, so technically this season could be considered 4 episodes, but these 3 episodes, they had the ability to just focus on them, spend all the time they needed, release them as a Season 5, and today we are going to talk about this. Now, I normally don't talk spoilers, but in this video, it's going to be a bit different. So today, I'm starting out doing a non-spoiler review. I'm just going to give you guys some general thoughts, and then I'm going to go through each individual episode and point out some things I liked and did not like. I need you guys in the comments down below. I'll let you know when we start talking spoilers, just in case you haven't seen it, and let's talk about Black Mirror. So in case you're unfamiliar, Black Mirror is an anthology series exploring a twisted high-tech world where humanity's greatest inventions and darkest instincts collide. Aston, what did you think about this season? You know what? I really dug this season. Once again, wanted more episodes, of course, but I can't fault the filmmakers because they spent as much time as they possibly could on these 3 episodes. 3 very distinct and different episodes. I feel like I can say that for every season. Every season brings us something different, but there's always this through line, this connection to the world of Black Mirror, if you will. Now, we still don't know exactly what that is. I feel like we're going to get more details and hints as we go along, but these 3 episodes were really well done. The first one handles romance in a way that we haven't really seen before, and it also incorporates action and this really cool VR world that also ties into some other episodes of Black Mirror. The second episode was extremely intense. It spirals out of control in the best possible way, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And then the third episode is just a lot of fun. You're wondering what path it is going down exactly, but once you discover what is truly happening and discover who our characters are and what role that they play, it was a lot of fun. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2 was a thoroughly entertaining episode. Smithereens was the most intense episode, and Striking Vipers was the one that I anticipated would be the most well acted, and it probably was, but it caught me off guard in a good way. So each episode for me worked, and overall this season was thoroughly entertaining. I don't know how to compare it to other seasons just yet. I have to think more about it and maybe place rank my favorite individual episodes of Black Mirror, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to dive into spoilers today, is to kind of hash out my thoughts on why I enjoyed each individual episode. And then at the end, I will give you my favorite episodes. So non-spoilers out of the way. Overall, I know this was a super quick review. I'm gonna give Black Mirror Season 5 an 85%. Overall, a great season of television. The last week and a half in terms of TV has been incredible. From Chernobyl to Good Omens to When They See Us, and now this. My goodness, guys, we are in the golden age of television. But non-spoilers out of the way, like I said. Let's get into each individual episode, and we start out with Striking Viper. So 2 estranged college friends reunite in later life, triggering a series of events that could alter their lives forever. So we have Danny and Theo. Danny played by Anthony Mackie, who I anticipated would be good, and he was very good in this role. He is very to himself, almost emotionless at times, but that's just the character that he is. But that is not the exploration of this episode. The exploration is when he reunites with his college friend, Carl, when they come together and play this virtual reality game together. Now, the technology that they use, we have seen before in Black Mirror. And as soon as I saw them engross themselves in this virtual world, I knew we were in for something special, but I didn't know the direction we were taking was going to be a romance. I thought it was going to be more of an action game because you have these 2 avatars. Palm Clementov, who we know from Guardians of the Galaxy, plays Roxette, and Lu Di Lin plays Lance. Those are the 2 avatars of our characters, and I was getting myself prepped for a battle. I'm like, okay, I don't know what the conflict is going to be of this episode, but this is cool so far, and the visual effects of this episode were fantastic. And then we start to see that maybe it's not necessarily about them fighting each other. They start getting romantic inside the game, right? So there's this romance between these 2 friends going on in this virtual world, but what's happening outside of the virtual world is completely different because they're not necessarily talking about it to each other. They go into this virtual world, they have their fun, they come back out, and they go about their own more busy and complicated life. So that's the conflict of this episode, and that was something that threw me off guard, of course, because I didn't anticipate it, but once we got into the actual story, I found it thoroughly entertaining, and I think mostly because the acting of our actors and actresses here is fantastic, but then you have this story that goes in a direction that you wouldn't anticipate. Once it goes there, you think it's going to be cliche, and at the end of the episode, when you realize that they don't, according to them, have this spark in real life, it hits you emotionally because of the conflict that they're going through as characters. Now, at the end of the episode, we do see that maybe there was a spark and they continue to go back into the game. So I found that interesting. And as always, they play things throughout the credits that explain where certain other characters ended up. Overall, this was not my favorite episode. I did have some issues here and there with the pacing, and I struggled to relate to certain characters at times just because of the decision making. It's like you have a wife, you have people that you're lying to, why not tell them the truth? Otherwise, this was a great episode of television, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Next up, we have Smithereens. So a cab driver with an agenda becomes the center of attention on a day that rapidly spirals out of control. So this episode stars Andrew Scott as Chris, and then you get the inevitable celebrity at the end, who is Topher Grace, playing a very different role than what Topher Grace is normally playing. So I didn't know where this episode was going to go at the beginning, because you have this kid who basically gets kidnapped by this cab driver, and all the cab driver wants to do is reach out and get a hold of the big boss, the guy in charge. And you think the character of Chris is this crazy person, this insane person. What is his agenda? Why is he doing all this? Why is he holding this poor young intern? And he doesn't know that at the beginning, but why is he holding this intern hostage just to get a hold of Topher Grace's character? And we do find out at the end, but it's not about the destination for this episode for me. It's about the journey, and the journey was thoroughly entertaining. Yes, it's something we've seen before, a man holding another man hostage, and you have the police after them, and they're having this major standoff, but it all comes down to the ending and that conversation between those two characters, and then you realize why Chris was doing this in the first place. He is blaming Topher Grace's character and what his company does for the loss that he has suffered in his own life, and I found that extremely emotional. This is the most emotional I got throughout the season. This is the biggest attachment I had for any of the characters in this season, and this is probably, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, my favorite episode of the season. Smithereens was action-packed, intense, thrilling, really fun. You relate to the characters, even Chris. You related to Chris because of the loss that he suffered, and it was so sad to watch. It was so sad to see his mental breakdown. You hear the gunshot at the end, and you don't know what actually happened, even though we anticipate that he was murdered in all of the madness. And I found it interesting that the intern character was trying to stop him from killing himself at the end because he understood, even though he was fearing for his life throughout the entire episode, he understood where he was coming from, and you can tell the good-hearted nature and the spirit of that kid. So yeah, guys, my favorite episode of this season, one of my favorite episodes of the last few seasons. I was thoroughly entertained. And then you have the final episode, and this episode is titled Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. And so a lonely teenager yearns to connect with her favorite pop star whose charmed existence isn't quite as rosy as it appears. As you guys know, this stars Miley Cyrus, and this was an episode that I was a bit scared for because of the star power from Miley Cyrus. I was afraid her star power could get in the way of the emotion for this episode, because you know it's going to be emotional just from the trailer. And when I first saw that trailer, I said, oh, this could go down one way, and it did kind of go down that way. I'm not going to say this wasn't a predictable episode, because it was, but you were still satisfied with the result. This was a thoroughly entertaining episode, and I say that because you have this young girl who is obsessed with this pop star, Ashley O. Ashley O being played by Miley Cyrus, of course. It could kind of parallel maybe a young girl in real life obsessed with Miley Cyrus, but it's much deeper than that, because Ashley O's well-being and the way that she's being nurtured in her entire life is a bit of a lie because of the way she is treated, because of her relationship with her Aunt Catherine, who I thought was awesome in this episode. She conveyed this obsessiveness and madness in the perfect way. But then, like I said, you have the young girl and her sister who get this AI device with the voice of Ashley. And when Ashley goes into a coma because of a shellfish allergy, but actually because of her aunt, this AI device comes alive. Now, it was never completely explained if this was actually her. I mean, it's said to us that it was her, but then you have her waking up at the same time as this being's existence. So that was a bit muddy for me, but it was still cool to see because we've never really seen anything like that in that regard. But you have these two young girls on this mission to save Ashley, and after we realize that she didn't actually die laying on that bed, Ashley confronts her aunt at the main end of the episode. It's kind of a predictable storyline of sorts, but there are little nuggets and Easter eggs in there, lines of dialogue, conversations that are very intriguing, and it's all about representing what these celebrities and pop stars actually go through. No, they don't go through this specifically, but I really felt for Miley's character of Ashley, and I thought Miley Cyrus did a really good job in this episode, both as her character and the voice of Ashley 2. Ashley 2 was really cool. The CGI was great. The young girls did a good job. The character of Rachel is actually the same girl who was in The Nice Guys, but she is also playing Betty in the first Spider-Man and the upcoming Spider-Man Far From Home movie. So this was full of talented actors, and overall, the episode, falling in line with the other two episodes, was really entertaining, guys. This season of Black Mirror did not disappoint me in any sense of the word. No, I didn't love every single episode as much as I loved episode 2, Smithereens, which I thought was just fantastic, but I was entertained. I had fun with it. It brings out the darkness of humanity, but it does things that we have never seen in one complete package on television before. So I need you guys to let me know in the comments down below. Are you a fan of Black Mirror? Did you enjoy this season? Did you want more episodes? Of course we wanted more episodes, but I'm still saying there was 4 episodes in this season because I'm putting Bandersnatch in that conversation. Even though it was technically a standalone movie, guys, I just want more Black Mirror. I really do. I love this series, one of the best on Netflix, and I appreciate you guys watching this video. Tomorrow, X-Men Dark Phoenix, so we're gonna see how that goes. I don't know yet. I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll talk to you very soon.